Hello everyone. Thank you everybody here for joining us and everybody watching us on our live stream on ESPN+. I'm Christina Poncher. We're just going to get right to the news at hand. I'm going to hand it over now to Top Rank Vice President of Operations and the King of Boxing Twitter, Carl Moretti, to get us started. Carl.
Thank you, Christina. Good afternoon to everyone. Due to the coronavirus pandemic and to ensure the health and safety of boxing fans and the fight participants, Top Rank announces today that the March 14th and March 17th events at the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden will proceed without spectators. The only individuals granted access to these events will be essential production and support staff, in addition to the fighters and their necessary team members and credentialed media. Both events will still be shown live on their respective ESPN platforms. As for future events, Top Rank is consulting with its venue partners and will make a determination in due course. Full refunds for tickets purchased for March 14th and 17th events will be available at point of purchase. Thank you for your consideration in the previous statement. Christina, why don't we talk boxing?
Let's talk some boxing. Yes, the fights are still taking place. The main event for Saturday night features WBO featherweight world champion Shakur Stevenson making his first title defense against three-time world challenger Miguel Marriaga. And in our co-feature, you're going to see former junior featherweight world champion Jesse Magdaleno fight the unbeaten Zakaria Lucas in a 10-round featherweight contest. That telecast will begin at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN and ESPN Deportes. We do also have a full undercard for that fight. The undercard action will begin at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time, and that will be streaming live on ESPN+. The undercard features a plethora of local undercard talent, including Edgar Berlanga, who you'll hear from in a little bit up here on stage, and John Bauza as well. This is our double press conference because, as you know, we also have fights taking place from the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden on Tuesday, St. Patrick's Day. In fact, that marks the fourth time Irish featherweight Michael Conlan will fight on St. Patrick's Day, this time taking on hard-charging Colombian veteran Belmar Preciado in a 10-round main event. And in the co-main event on Tuesday to open the show on ESPN Plus at 8 p.m. Eastern Time will be a 10-round contest between undefeated fighter Michaela Mayer taking on former featherweight world champion Melissa Hernandez. So Tuesday's undercard is streaming live as well on ESPN Plus, just like the co-main and main event that's getting started. And that includes fighters such as Josue the Prodigy Vargas, Julian Hammerhand Rodriguez, Patty the Real Deal Donovan, and Christopher the Boy Zavala. So a lot of really good talent on the undercard, streaming live ESPN Plus on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So Carl, we have two stacked cards. We always come here St. Patrick's Day. We'll talk about that card first on ESPN Plus. I mentioned some of the undercard talent on that, and then obviously Mick Conlan for the fourth time. Really good card on a special Tuesday fight night.
Special, really special. I mean, you know, this will be the fourth show on St. Patty's Day, and usually what you see is a raucous crowd coming in from the St. Patrick's Day parade. So this one's going to be a little bit different. The only thing that isn't different is that these fights still count. These careers are still on the line. They'll be judged as usual by the New York State Athletic Commission officials. So they win and it counts, they lose and it counts, and it actually puts a different kind of pressure on a fighter now to fight without a home crowd advantage or something like that, which you know, is real interesting to see how these guys perform under that.
Right, and on Saturday night we talked about Shakur Stevenson, which was going to be somewhat like a homecoming for his first title defense, and although it's not going to be in front of a crowd, it's still a lot of pressure for a fighter coming back fighting his backyard, defending his title against a guy in Miguel Marriaga, who's been on this stage 3 times already fighting as a world champion contender.
No question. You know, with Shakur, we know he's from across the river in Newark, 973, but the same circumstance exists. The only difference is, you know, he's not going to have his raucous crowd for him as well. Marriaga, maybe it evens the playing field, you know, that he doesn't have to go up against that. But I know the other day I sent some footage of Marriaga to Shakur, you know, a little quote like, "This kid isn't playing." He's known about the fight for 8.5 weeks. He signed the contract in one day. He's on weight now. This is his opportunity to do what he can. If he can beat a Shakur Stevenson, you know, it sets up a lot of things. Personally, it's a huge task because, you know, how do you beat Shakur? You can't beat him on the outside, and he just controls the ring like a guy that's had 35 fights. I hate making comparisons to fighters in the past or something like that, but I swear I think I'm watching Whitaker again, who fought, you know, Roger Mayweather in his 13th fight. So, you know, you look at Shakur and you see that talent, you see what's out there, but I don't know if Marriaga cares about it or not. That's what makes it such an interesting fight.
And we'll start with you, Mick, and we'll kind of touch back with you, Carl, as we move down the card. But your opponent, Belmar Preciado, we have Gardy, you're going to translate for him? Okay, let's start with Belmar. Can you see me here? You want to an opportunity for you to fight your very first fight in the
Spanish.
Yeah, he's going to translate for me. Your first fight in the United States. Your thoughts on the opportunity to show your skills to a U.S. audience on ESPN?
Muy buenas tardes, primero que todo. Quiero decirles que estoy muy contento de estar acá. Es una satisfacción enorme. Nadie se imagina la emoción que siento y tengo ganas de demostrar por qué estoy acá, porque he trabajado, he luchado y por eso estoy acá, porque me lo merezco. No es suerte, no es coincidencia, sino es trabajo.
I'm very happy with this opportunity. You know, I'm very excited. I'm here because it's not because of luck, it's because I have earned it, I have worked hard, and I'm here to show the fighter that I am.
Does he watch any tape, and what does he know about Mick Conlan? How does he kind of get the job done come Saturday night?
Sí, he visto algunos combates, inclusive vi el último combate, lo vi en directo, en vivo, sin pensar que me llegara a enfrentar a él. Y es un boxeador que tiene mucha habilidad, en muchas condiciones, que tiene un gran registro como aficionado y bueno, es un boxeador respetable como todos y vamos allá a enfrentarlo.
I have seen a couple of his fights. Actually, I saw his last fight. I saw it live without knowing that I was going to get the opportunity. But you know, here we are, and I know that he has a lot of skills. He has a great amateur record. He has great conditioning. But I'm here to fight him and show who I am.
No, muchas gracias. Mick, here we are again on what's going to be the 3rd anniversary of you turning pro, and it's kind of like, obviously we talked about Madison Square Garden becoming a second home for you, but what does it mean for you to be fighting now for the 4th time on St. Patrick's Day? Obviously a little bit different this year with what Carl just announced, but it still means that you get to represent where you're from on the biggest stage of boxing.
It's great being here again in the Garden, who support me so well, so you know, I'm always thankful and always grateful for that. But this one's going to be a bit different. It doesn't really matter about the crowd. It is going to be different in terms of the atmosphere, but I've been training, I've done the work. I'm ready to rock. It doesn't really matter who's there, who's not there. I just got to go and do the business. I'm a fighter, I fight.
You said you've done training. Do I see a little shiner underneath it?
No, it probably just looks like a...
Oh, there you go. Okay, I was going to say, you've been sparring a little bit close to the fight here. You know, Belmar is considered a really tough opponent. If you beat him on Tuesday, there's obviously talks with this fight being an eliminator, you being the #1 ranked contender in the WBO for a world title. Do you feel like that's something, if you're victorious on Tuesday, that you're ready for even in your next fight, or is that something just a goal of 2020?
It doesn't matter what happens next. What happens on Tuesday night is the most important thing, and I can't overlook that. So come Friday, once I win, I'll start to think about what's next. But yeah, listen, if I'm #1, I'm mandatory, whatever you want to call it, eliminator, I believe this year I'll be world champion.
So the fact that it's like a title eliminator, that means nothing more to you than any other fight?
What means more to me is having to adapt to the new scenery and focusing on what has to be a dominant performance, and I believe I will do that.
Carl, for you, when you see the bout sheet and the fancy, and the fight is being discussed as a title eliminator for the WBO, him being ranked the #1 contender at featherweight, the champion is right here from the WBO, and Shakur Stevenson. What exactly does that mean as far as the trajectory of what a win could do for either of these guys on Tuesday night?
Well, as been discussed in the past, you know, Shakur wants to fight other champions and make unification fights. Should everything come out all right on Saturday night, we'll make another attempt at making the Josh Warrington fight to unify the title.
Okay.
After that, I don't know how long Shakur's going to stay at 126.
Don't fight my question. I'm not saying yet. no. That's a valid point, though. I mean,
you know, and if there's challenges for him at 126 that it makes sense business-wise and everything else, then I think he might do another one. But you know, you're looking at a kid potentially who's going to be a champion. He's already a champion at 126. He's going to go to 130. He'd love to fight any of the 30-pounders. In 2 years, he'll probably be at 35. You know, you're going to see trajectory like Whitaker and others where this guy's just going to move up because of the size of him when he's starting at 26.
And then that could mean then possibly a vacant opportunity for Conlan to fight for a vacant title if
It could, absolutely.
Okay. All right, Mick. Well, first things first. Tuesday, anything you'd like to say to everybody that's watching? I know there's probably a good contingent of Irish fans that are bummed that they don't
I just want to. I can't apologize. It's not my fault, but you know, I'm devastated that you know the people who are coming over, there's students coming over, so they've had cancelled flights and tickets and stuff because the parade is cancelled also. So yeah, it's not nice, but. No, it is what it is. I'm a fighter. I still got to fight. I still got to do my job, so I will do that Tuesday.
All right. Thank you, Mick. And the man to your right, Brooklyn knockout artist Edgar Berlanga, will be fighting Saturday night as the main event of the undercard portion on ESPN+, probably around 9 o'clock. Before the telecast gets started at 10:30 Eastern. And Edgar, kind of same for you. I know that you were looking forward to having the crowd behind you come Saturday night, but it's business as usual. You have an opportunity on a big platform on ESPN+, kind of headlining the undercard to show your skills. Edgar's 13-0, and he has 13 knockouts. All 13 of his knockouts have been in the first round. So I'm just kind of talk about your thoughts on the opportunity come Saturday night.
You know, it's a huge opportunity once again, you know, to be fighting once again in my hometown, you know, New York. And, you know, it's sad that the fans can't attend this Saturday, but, you know, it's another day in the office. You know, I got to handle my business and get the win.
I know a lot of the headlines say, you know, aims for another first round knockout, but I don't really think that's what you're aiming for. You and I have talked about this in the last couple fights. You want to get the rounds in.
Yeah, of course. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting the rounds in the gym, you know, and I'm sparring elite fighters. So, you know, I'm not really worried about it. You know, my main concern is that, you know, when I get to that level and that top level, you know, with those lines in that weight division, 168, you know, that we very prepared to go the full 12 rounds, you know, if we have to.
Yeah, this fight's scheduled for 8. Your last few have, although, like I said, you haven't seen round 2. Something else I feel like is a big point of emphasis for you is just while Puerto Rico's kind of looking for who that next star is going to be, who's the one that's going to kind of carry that torch. You carry that great responsibility too, right? You feel like you want to be the one. Not that there only can be one, don't get me wrong, but you take that pride of Puerto Rico with you each and every time as well as New York.
No, of course, you know, I'm always representing Puerto Rico, you know, and, you know, there's a lot of young up-and-coming Puerto Ricans as well, you know, so, listen, you know, I'm just doing my job, you know, I'm getting the win, you know, and just continue to put Puerto Rico on the map, you know, there's no competition here.
All right, tune in to see Edgar. Main event of the ESPN Plus undercard taking place Saturday night. As we now turn towards our co-main event for Saturday night's fight, it is a WBC title eliminator fight taking place between Sakaria Lucas and Jesse Magdaleno. We'll start with you, Sakaria, 23-0 with 16 knockouts. You call yourself the Desert Storm as well. You and Tim Bradley, we're gonna have to take a picture of the two of you come Saturday night. But this is a big opportunity for you. Your first fight in the United States, your first fight outside of Africa. What does that mean for you to get this opportunity?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Top Rank and ESPN for opportunity. My team, my promoter, Global Boxing. And I'm very excited for this opportunity. It's everybody's dream to come and fight in America. So, and here we are. I'm ready to go.
As I mentioned, you're undefeated, and he is I read that you're cousins with former world champions Paulus Moses and Julius Indongo. Are those your cousins? Like how we call it, like blood cousins, play cousins? Like that's your family? You spar with them in the gym? Do you guys gonna grow up, sparring in the living room? And
yeah, they're my family. And actually, Moses is not my cousin, I'm his uncle.
You're his uncle?
Although I'm younger than him.
Oh, that's okay.
His mom is my sister.
Oh, cool.
And Indongo is my cousin from my mom's side. So
the bloodline is strong.
Fighting is in the blood.
Absolutely, that's kind of what I was getting to, right? And now with this fight being a title eliminator fight, and you're fighting Jesse Magdaleno, who is a former world champion. What do you know about Jesse, and how do you plan on beating him on Saturday night?
I'm gonna break him down. And I know him as a former world champion, but I know he beat Nonito, Necros. He beat another guy from Brazil, and I think that guy was washed out already. And when he was in his first mandatory defense by an African guy, he went down again, and he never came back. So Saturday night, it's obvious he's gonna go down again, and he will never come back when he's facing an African.
All right. Well, Jesse, could you hear what he was saying? Get your mic up here. You're 27 and won 18 KOs. Been a world champion. Been on the stage before. I mentioned his first fight, but he seems very confident in saying that you've lost to one African fighter, and then he put you down, and you're going to go down again. What are your thoughts on what he had to say?
No, it's fine. He has to come. He has to keep himself motivated. He's an older guy. He has to get all the motivation he needs. He knows that I'm a ready fighter. I've been a world champion before, and God knows that I'll be a two-time world champion very soon.
When you're fighting a guy in Sicaria where there's not a lot of tape out there, I've looked. I mean, there's one or two fights on YouTube. So how do you do you not then necessarily prepare for him, but you and Jorge just in the gym work on what you need to do?
We prepare on everything. We work on ourselves. We work on our opponent. I see clips of him. I see how he fights, and me and Jorge have a game plan, and we're ready to showcase it Saturday night.
What would it mean to you with the win in this fight, putting yourself in the position to challenge for another? Obviously, Gary Russell being the WBC champ, but getting yourself in a position, a mandatory position here.
Oh, it's like I said, it's been a God's plan. I came back off of a loss, came back off of 2 great wins, and here I am in 2020. Already a mandatory challenger for the world title. So it says a lot what my skill sets are, what my mindset is, and we're just ready to show it out on Saturday.
Thanks, Jesse, and Carl. For that being said, I mean that's kind of a tough position that he's in there with Gary Russell fighting one time a year.
Well, I get it, but he brought up Julius Indongo, and then I'm looking at Crawford back there because we had a good time with him in Omaha or Lincoln.
Yeah.
So I'm just. Right. But you're right. Jesse is a much better fighter at 126 because of the having to move up in weight.
Right.
And I just think you're going to see a lot of movement in that division all over the place.
Right.
But you know what? It all starts Saturday night. You got to win, and then that's really what it's about.
All right, let's get to our main event on Saturday night. We'll talk first with the challenger, Miguel Marriaga. Gardy's going to translate for us, Miguel. But is 4th time going to be the charm for you? I mean, you get opportunity after opportunity. What does that say about you and your skills?
Que si la cuarta oportunidad va a ser la vencida para ganar un título, y que dice de que obtenga una cuarta oportunidad, que dice de tus habilidades.
Muy buenas tardes para todos. Primero pues darle las gracias a Dios por permitirnos estar todos acá en este momento.
Good afternoon to everyone. Thanks to God for letting us be here today.
Una cuarta oportunidad, como todas, no es un secreto lo que venimos a hacer. Venimos a hacer un trabajo y pues venimos a darla toda como siempre, como en todas las peleas, y creo que esta cuarta oportunidad va a ser la vencida.
This is a great opportunity, a big opportunity. It's not a secret what I'm coming to do, but I really believe that this 4th opportunity will be what I get in my championship.
In a time in boxing where a lot of people aren't really willing to test themselves. Why do you say yes time after time, you know, to these tough fights? What does that say about your character?
En una época donde los mejores no enfrentan a los mejores y tú constantemente quieres enfrentar a los mejores y siempre estás en peleas duras, ¿qué dice eso de ti como peleador?
Bueno, eso es un factor muy importante, ¿no? De que nos tengan los mejores. Por eso peleamos con los mejores. Creo que en esta oportunidad venimos más positivos. Creo que va a ser una buena pelea. Pero la verdad que vengo con ganas de ser campeón, que es lo más importante.
I have a lot of desire to become champion, and you know, this is what I'm planning to do for a long time. It says a lot about myself that every single time I'm here fighting the best, and I'm just here to do my job, get my title.
You said to get your title. How do you get your title? 13 fighters have tried against Shakur as a professional. None have succeeded. How do you become the first one to beat him?
13 peleadores han enfrentado a Shakur Stevenson y no lo han logrado. ¿Cómo lo vas a hacer tú? ¿Cómo vas a obtener tu título y derrotarlo?
Bueno, lo más importante es que venimos preparados. Yo creo que en el ring se facilitan las cosas. Creo que si no es por una es por otra, pero hay que buscar el título, que es lo más importante.
The most important thing is that I'm prepared. I'm prepared for whatever he brings to the table. If it's not going to be by one option, I'm going to try the second option, and I'm coming for the title.
All right, thank you. Good luck. What is that thing? Shakur, this is your first time up here on the stage as a world champion. You're defending your title for the first time. I know not exactly the circumstances that you would have wished, considering you know, the fan support and stuff that you were expecting to have, yet still business goes on and you still have a job to do on Saturday night. Just your thoughts about kind of the situation at hand come your main event on Saturday night.
I mean, I look at it like I spar in the gym, and I spar in the gym, be like a lot of people in the gym, so I feel like it's gonna be like a little sparring match, and Marriaga's tough, but he's gonna bring the fight, and it's gonna be a good fight.
Sparring just because not people watching, or sparring with the quality of work that you're gonna
Nah, I think he's a hell of a fighter.
Okay, I just want to make that clear.
Nah, I think he's a good fighter. I think that just because like the people not gonna be there, so I think it's gonna be, you feel me, and then I gotta go big.
Yeah, I understand. So when you're fighting, coming up, trying to get a world title, a lot of the times the fighters that I talk to say, you know, there's a hunger that burns inside you when, you know, on that quest to get to a world title. But now you're the one with the target on your back because you have that belt around your waist. Does that motivate you even more now that you're a world champion, or does it kind of just stay the same?
I mean, yeah, it definitely do that. I'm a world champion because it's like, he want my belt for me, so it's not like me going to chase somebody else for their belt. He done fought in 3 tough fights with 3.
He's been in more title fights than you have.
Yeah, he lost to Nicholas Walters, gave him hell. Lost to Valdez, gave him hell. Lomachenko couldn't really do it, whatever he wanted to him. I think I'm gonna be the first fighter to actually beat him up.
To beat him up?
Yeah.
Now that's not typical to your style. Most people don't go in there. Shakur's in there beating guys up. But we talked about this at the Wilder Fury fight. A new Shakur Stevenson in 2020. Is that right?
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like I want to be a lot more offensive. I want to go out there and get these guys out of there. And especially with nobody being there, I ain't getting paid for overtime. So.
Carl, what do you think about that? I mean, you talk about comparing him to Pernell Whitaker, who is, you know, obviously southpaw and is one of the most slick defensive fighters of all time. And then you hear him say, I want to be more offensive. I want to get after guys, knock guys out.
Well, one, he's correct. He's not getting paid for overtime. 2,
none of us are, okay?
You know, when we saw the Joet Gonzalez fight, I was sitting with Brad Goodman, and after the first round, we looked at each other and we said, it's over. It's over after the first round. That's not going to be the case with Marriaga, because Marriaga is just at a different level. So really, it's to see where Shakur has gotten better and everything like that. And based on what we hear and based on what we feel, we think we're going to get even, every time Shakur fights, he's going to be better and better. And to beat Marriaga, he's going to have to be. He knows that. So I think that's part of his motivation, you know, crowd withstanding or not.
Shakur, Carl talked about this fight at 126 possibly being your last. We've talked about it. People that follow you on social media, on Twitter, know that you've been calling out Eddie Hearn, trying to get that money to get a Warrington fight together. If that fight proposes itself, is that worth you staying at 126 for another fight, or is it after this? I know it's asking the day before the weigh-in is not the most ideal time, but is that kind of the plan for you to, no matter what, go up to 130 after this? Where are you at on that?
I mean, only thing that'll keep me at 126 is if they got the money right. But if the money not right, then I'm going right to 130.
Vacate the title up to 130.
Sure, but Saturday night, I got a hard test in front of me. It's not like I got
100%.
an easy fight in front of me, so I ain't even looking right there right now. I'm looking at Marriaga.
All right, it's going down Saturday night on ESPN. As I mentioned, the undercard will start on Saturday night. Streaming on ESPN Plus at 7:15, and then the co-main and main event will get started on ESPN at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time as scheduled, and then Tuesday's fights, the undercard will begin on ESPN Plus at 5 p.m. and the main card on Tuesday will get started, co-main and main event at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Just to reiterate again what Carl had mentioned, both Saturday night and Tuesday night's events are closed to the public. Only team members and select family members that already have wristbands will be allowed in the arena, but you will be able to stay home or wherever you are, watch on your device ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN Plus. And keep up with what's going on with future events on Top Rank Boxing, social media, and various social media outlets for our events going forward. Anything else that you'd like to say, Carl?
No, enjoy the fights. I'd like to say tickets are still available, but
I'm used to it. There's a big X across that part on my notes up here. So
I mean, leave it to us to put 5 ticket sellers on the undercard, do a huge consignment, and now we can, take the benefit of it. But, like I said, the most important thing is the fighters, they got to weigh in, and everything's on a go for that.
all right, so you will not miss all the action. ESPN Plus for the undercards and ESPN Saturday night, ESPN Plus on Tuesday. We're gonna, if you can all kind of stay seated, we're gonna still get some pictures here of the fighters for Carl Moretti and all the fighters on the dais. I'm Christina Boncher. We'll see you tomorrow streaming live for the weigh-ins. Thank you.
Yeah, no face-offs, but we're gonna take a look. You're gonna instruct them, Mikey?
Yeah, everyone together. Somebody saw. You like that, right?